Hey guys, Lee here, playing some Frost Arena and Hex with this pretty budget mono red deck. Looks like I'm about to win thanks to his Mountain God's ability and my Fire Dancer's ability. I don't actually have to hit him with my Fire Dancer, he just takes 2 and then he either blocks and I'm fine, or he doesn't block and I'm fine. So, at the start of his turn, he's going to take 2 damage, and that will be a victory on my last life in the Frost Arena. So it worked out pretty well for me. Here we go. Let's look at the rewards. I had 2 losses, one in Stage 2 and one in Stage 3. And let's see what we get. Boss win Gold Pass, 6,600 gold. That's a lot. Lots of equipment. Look at that. Centos Inquisitor has Life Drain. Let's see what the rares and uncommons are. Win versus Zoltog gives me Reality Rift. When this enters play, add a warp counter to this. At the start of my turn, choose 1 at random. Add a warp counter to this, add 2 warp counters to this, or sacrifice this and create a random number of troops equal to the... Wow, that's a hilarious card. Piece of equipment. Interesting. Looks like it really is beneficial just to play aggressive decks. Oh, is that a guaranteed... Is that a guaranteed drop? Might be a guaranteed drop. Cool. So we're gonna take a look at the deck. This is not the deck. Let me load it up real quick. I believe it's down here. Mono red. I need to go through and delete a lot of these decks because it just gives you a lot when you start the game. Alright, here we go. So the mana base is pretty basic. It's just 15 ruby shards, 4 crackling vortex, and 4 primal essences. The primal essences aren't really required. I think I actually used that ability maybe once the entire game, or the entire set of the 20 matches. So you could easily replace these with ruby shards. Although I do recommend the crackling vortex, as they do get to your ability for Lionel Flynn, and I'll go over him in a minute. And this is no equipment, by the way. Like, I have equipment for this deck, I just don't have any equipped. Just because, like, I wanted to get a win without equipment so I could bring you guys a budget deck. So, we have 4 burn, 3 crimson clarity, 4 crushing blow, 2 ruby auras, 4 savage raiders, 2 zoltogs, 3 crackling bolt, 4 emberleaf duelist, 3 skewer, 4 ember tongue scarns, 4 fire dancers, and I believe that's it. Now, the biggest problem with this deck is not having enough creatures in the beginning, or you play all your creatures and then they get answered. So I might consider taking out maybe a Crimson Clarity and a Skewer for another couple creatures. Not too sure. The most expensive thing in this deck, aside from the lands, is Zoltog. I believe he's about 150 platinum. He is really, really powerful, so there's not a whole lot you could replace him with, although I believe there is a Royal Falconer, which might be cheaper. I'm not too sure. I only have 1, but I would probably play another one in place of one of my Skewers or Crimson Clarities. Crimson Clarities are really useful for those land hands when you don't draw enough lands, and you can win quite often on just playing 2 lands the entire game and then just racing your opponent down. This deck's really good at that. A lot of the Frost Arena decks just don't have enough answers to aggro, and that's why this deck works so well. If I had the option of giving myself equipment, I would definitely take the burn equipment. Other equipments I would consider taking. The Savage Raider equipment is not very good, although it is kind of relevant in the last stage, or the last set of matches, just because there's a lot of artifacts that come into play for free, thanks to just the Frost Arena challenges, or against the robot decks. There's not a whole lot of equipment required for this deck. Ruby Aura, I might actually consider putting the equipment in. That doesn't seem like a very expensive one. King Crusher gloves I would not take, just because for my glove slot I would have the burn gloves instead. You could consider the Crimson Clarity equipment, although it's not really relevant. For the hero, we have Lionel Flynn. His ability is 5. Target troop gets +3/+0, which at first seems okay. Then you realize it's not until end of turn. So popping him on even your Savage Raiders is just insane. I'll often hit for 17 damage with the Savage Raider before he dies, and that's lethal to most of the Frost Arena, or incredibly high damage for the rest of it. But guys, if you enjoyed this video, I recommend playing this deck. Comment down below any suggestions or any other comments you guys might have. Like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.